So I'm here at the Filmfest Hamburg, and with me is Grimur Hakonarson, the director of The County. There's a real story behind that film. Am I right?
Yes, I would say like multiple stories. There are many stories which the county is based on, and those are stories from an area in Iceland called Skagafjörður in the northwest of Iceland, and there they have there is like a big cooperative company that kind of controls and owns every business in that area. It's pretty monopolistic or kind of like a small scale kind of dictatorship. And I visited this area and I spoke to a lot of people and they told me stories, true stories. And I was thinking of making a documentary first, but then I realized that people are kind of too scared to tell the stories in camera. So I decided to do a fiction film. And then the character of Inga came up. I wanted to make a film about individual fighting the system, and it kind of makes sense that this individual was a woman, because also in that area it is pretty male orientated. There are like men in charge of the co-op, and so it felt like a good contrast to that the main character was a woman.
And the main character, Inga, you just mentioned, she's also based on a real Icelandic woman.
Yeah, she's based on a few, like the county is. It's a few women I know. There's a particular woman. She is like a young kind of farmer, and her statement is like, I can run my farm without men, So she's doing all the hard labor and driving the tractor and all this. And then there's another farmer woman who was fighting against power plants, like a big power plant in Iceland. So yeah, we have some references, but this kind of farmers' revolution, like in the movie, kind of has never happened and probably won't happen.
The visual style of the film, I think it reflects Inga's inner journey, but it also looks very similar to your previous film, Rams. Why did you choose this style, and what was important to you?
Well, I have my sort of basic sort of visual style that kind of cinematography that I like. It's pretty static, kind of long, pretty wide shots, slow movements, slow pace. I think this style kind of I'm trying to show like life in countryside that is pretty slow and kind of relaxed, trying to get the audience to get into the atmosphere of the countryside. So in a way that this fits to both films, Rams and The County. The County is much more darker than Rams, and it's a bit it's a bit kind of darker and kind of more harsh look, and the visual style is reflecting Inga's emotions. She goes through a lot of things in the film, and the visual style it's following her, emotions.
After Rams was such a success, both at the box office but also with the critics, how did you deal with the pressure of having to deliver an even better film?
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure, and I mean, I was a little bit worried about that, and but I'm happy now that the county is kind of getting good reviews and getting a good reception. And in Iceland, we showed it. It opened like 2 months ago, and it's doing pretty well in the box office. And but it's maybe not going going sky high like Rams did, but still it's doing pretty well. And now that pressure is over, now I'm free. I can just make some documentary about frogs or something.
You cast Sigurður Sigurjónsson, I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, in both films, Rams and The County, but this time he's playing the bad guy. What was the reason you relied on him?
I mean, he's such like a versatile actor. He has played bad guys before, on stage and in cinema, and so I knew that he could do it. But also the reason I picked him was that his physical appearance is a little bit similar like the real co-op director in Iceland, and I thought it was interesting to make that connection.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in the northwest region of Iceland where the film is set, you mentioned that you can find the last cooperative, or the last big cooperative that has survived.
Yes.
When you did your research for the film, did you find a reason for that?
No, I actually haven't. I don't know. But we had this cooperative movement, like it started in the 19th century and it kind of collapsed in the 90s. But there in this area, it somehow survived. I don't know the exact reason, but I think one of the reasons is that the director is a very clever businessman, and I think he kind of found some kind of ways to make it. When the cooperative movement collapsed, like in the 90s, the co-op in the Northwest was struggling a lot, but I think they slowly sort of grew and then became like a big again.
Let's talk about the music. In Rams you used a more romantic score, and while in The County it's more electronical. Does this mainly have to do with Rams showing a more traditional farming and
yes,
and The County is more modern?
Yeah. The score in The Country is electronic, much more modern. Like the County is about like modern farmers. They have a robotic milking machines, and it's very technical. But in Rams, it's more about like this romantic sheep farming, and there we have classical instruments. The music in The County is kind of based on sounds from the barn, like a real sounds, and the idea is that Inga has been sort of imprisoned all her life in this kind of robotic world, this barn, and then when she's breaking out from that, and she kind of takes the sounds from the barn with her into the revolt, into the revolution.
That's interesting. I'm always impressed with a huge amount of films coming from such a small country as Iceland. And I've talked to many directors from Iceland so far, like Baldvin Sofiniasson or Alpha Ellersteins. Why is the Icelandic communities or film communities so special, and how well are you all connected?
I always find it difficult to sort of pinpoint exactly what it is, but I would maybe say that we have this history in literature, in telling stories. We have the Icelandic sagas, and we have Icelanders wrote like the histories of the Scandinavian kings, and so I think because the film industry is just 40 years old, the Icelandic film industry is 40 years old, but then we have like a literature history that is 1,000 years old. So I think maybe telling stories is something that is in our blood maybe, and now, like in the last years, there have been lot of new talents coming up, like a new generation of filmmakers. It has nothing to do with financing, I mean, it's not like there was like a political decision to spend a lot of money in films, this didn't happen, we are always kind of struggling economically. My feeling is that it's just like a generation that is coming up now, that is some kind of talent that is coming up, that I mean, we are even, like, most of us are educated abroad, we are not sort of even educated in Iceland, so it's and like you said, it is a small community, and I'm in I have close relationship with some of these directors, Icelandic directors, and we kind of read each other's script, and Iceland is too small for script doctors, so we kind of have to rely on each other, and so it is. Yeah, you could say that it's pretty. You could it is almost like because it's so small, it's almost feels like maybe we're working for the same company that is our country or something. It's like that.
Last question.
Okay. Let's get back to the film. What's the biggest struggle or biggest obstacle you had to overcome when shooting the film?
Well, we kind of had like a really bad start when we were filming. That the cinematographer he had to go to a dentist like in the morning of the first shooting day, and we had to drive him to Reykjavik, and he had to take like a tooth out of his mouth, and so. And he was like he couldn't film like for the first day, and then the second day he was really ill, and so it had like a really bad start. But I mean, it doesn't sound like a big obstacle. But I think it was maybe yeah, just thinking. Yeah, I think the biggest challenge filming the county was maybe the balance between kind of to try to show this kind of Icelandic mafia and try to do it in a authentic way, not to use like violence or guns, or try to do it, make it like a kind of an authentic Icelandic way,
Okay.
Because I remember when I was writing a script and some people were reading it, some people abroad, they were asking for more, to make it more dangerous, and in Iceland there's not much danger, especially, so there was maybe a little bit tough to find that balance.
I think the film is perfect the way it is, so
Okay.
I wouldn't change a thing.
Okay.
So what are your next projects? Is there anything you can already talk about?
Well, at the moment I'm working on a English language film. That could be my next project, but I'm also working on Icelandic projects, and I'm planning to try to sort of make films in Iceland and keep on track, but also to sell my soul to Hollywood and make some English language movies.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much for the interview.
Yeah,
And
thank
good
you.
luck with the film.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.